Today, you're going to learn the fastest way to become fluent in English alone. This is one of the most challenging things to do for English learners. Maybe you're studying alone and are not sure if what you're doing even works, or you're frustrated about the lack of results that you're getting, or you're lost and just guessing what you should be doing to become fluent in English. That will all stop today if you watch to the end of this video. We're going to go over 9 tangible steps that you should be taking if you want to become fluent in English by yourself. Now, the first step is you need to set very specific goals. By setting very specific goals, it will provide a tangible direction for you to go in to become fluent in English. You need to understand what it takes to go from A1 to A2 to B1 to B2 to C1 to around the native level up to C2. Now, by setting very specific goals, this will actually allow you to measure progress. And measuring progress is actually necessary when it comes to improving your English. By setting these goals, it'll keep you very focused and very organized on your path to learning English. Now, these goals can be anything. And to set that goal, you should have an idea as to why you actually want to learn English. If you just want to learn English at a casual level, let's say the B1 or B2 level, just so you can travel, you can navigate your way through airports and have basic conversations with English speakers, then your goals are going to be a lot different than if you want to become an English professor and you want to teach English at a professional level. So be sure to set very specific goals for your very specific situation and then take the necessary steps to get to the level that you need to get to. Now let's talk about how to actually improve your skills to increase your level of English. The first thing that you need to know how to do is how to read aloud. Unfortunately, when it comes to language learning, I would argue reading in your head doesn't do that much for you. By reading in your head, you're probably going to forget a lot of the stuff, probably most of the stuff that you read in a very short period of time. Whereas if you read aloud, it's going to improve your pronunciation because you're physically training your mouth to pronounce the words that you're reading. Of course, you might still make some mistakes here or there, but it will be a lot better than reading in your head, trust me. And by physically training your mouth to speak as you're reading aloud, this will also improve your memory retention. And you're going to remember about 80% or more of what you read instead of around 20% of what you read. As you're training your mouth as well and actually getting those physical repetitions of reading aloud and speaking aloud, it will build confidence and it will make it a lot more natural when you actually need to say these words in a real sentence, in a real conversation. This leads to the next step, which is listen to English media with and without subtitles. Now, again, this does depend on what your goals are. If you only want to get to the B1 or the B2 level of English, then you could probably do most of your learning with subtitles. Now, if you want to get onto the same level or a greater level than a native English speaker such as myself, then I would encourage you to challenge yourself by listening without subtitles to really focus on training your ears to listen. If you're anything like me, I have a very difficult time turning subtitles on and then choosing not to read them. Whenever I have subtitles on in the target language that I'm trying to learn, I always end up translating them back to English in my head, and it doesn't work very well for me personally. I would also argue this probably won't work very well for you too if you're at B2 level or higher. Even if you're at the B1 level or higher, if you're at the intermediate level, I would encourage you to turn off subtitles at least sometimes just to train your ear to really listen to English and to really think in English. By doing this exercise, it will improve your thinking in English, as in the English side of your brain. By listening to English media, you will also get exposure to a bunch of different levels of formality and speech. For example, you might listen to someone who is speaking very informally and using a lot of slang terminology. And then you might listen to someone who is speaking very formally and delivering news on a broadcasting station. Another benefit of listening to a variety of English media is that it will really distinguish between real English and performative English. Real English being conversations that you'll have every day with real people, and then performative English being the way that people articulate themselves in a dramatic film or a dramatic TV show. Now, once you learn how to read aloud and listen to English media with and without subtitles, you will need to be able to use flashcards. Now, flashcards is really going to systematize the way that you study English. Now, by using flashcards, you're going to improve your memorization through something called spaced repetition. Spaced repetition is going to keep feeding you words that you are less familiar with and feed you the words that you're more familiar with a lot less. This method has been used since ancient and has been proven to work. A very easy to use and free flashcard application would be the application Anki. I highly recommend you check it out. It's very good at feeding you words that you're less familiar with, more so than the words that you are familiar with. The huge benefit about flashcards is not only is it proven to work, but it's an extremely easy way to study English. You can do this literally anywhere. When you're on the bus, on the way commuting to work or school, when you're sitting on your couch bored for 5 minutes, you just go and do your flashcards before you go to bed, when you wake up in the morning, when you have time to kill waiting for something, when you're just on your phone. You can do it literally anywhere at any time. Now, I would highly recommend that you customize your own flashcard decks so it's very relevant to all of the things that you're going to see and do in your life. However, if you're really struggling to find the time to create your own flashcard deck, there are some preset decks that you can find for free on apps like Anki. You can get free sets of hundreds or thousands of different terms in the English language for free, but it may not be as customized or as relevant to your particular lifestyle. Once you learn how to read and listen efficiently and use flashcards, now you need to practice your typing, texting, and writing skills, and you need to do it every single day. Now, by typing, texting, and writing daily, this actually gives you a real opportunity to apply the vocabulary that you've been learning every single day. In addition, when you're practicing your typing, texting, or writing, this gives you a lot of time to practice collecting and organizing your thoughts in English, and this will make it very easy for you to see the gaps in your current English skill set. By actually going through the exercise of typing something out, texting something out, or writing something out, you're going to very easily see which vocabulary words or which topics or subjects you struggle with, which aspects of grammar that you struggle with, and it will make the picture a lot clearer as to what you need to improve on. In addition, most applications such as Microsoft Word, Google Docs, or the Notes application on your phone all have the spell check tool to correct grammatical mistakes that are commonly made amongst people who don't speak English as a first language. In order to use this, you do need to put the settings of your computer, your phone, or your electronic device in the English language for the spell check tool to work. An easy way to apply your typing, texting, or writing is simply just by typing, texting, or writing how your day went, or expressing your thoughts about literally anything. Your thoughts about what this room looks like, your thoughts about politics, your thoughts about how your day went and how you feel, if you're tired, if you're energetic, if you're happy, if you're sad. You can type, text, or write literally about anything. This leads to the next step, which is speaking daily. Similar to reading aloud, this is one of the most important aspects of the application of all of your English skills coming together. By speaking and expressing your thoughts about anything, it will also reinforce all of the things that you've learned earlier through your observation and application in typing, texting, and writing. Simply by self-reflecting and expressing your thoughts about anything while speaking in English is actually inadvertently preparing you for real life conversations when you're face to face with a real human. So do not underestimate the power of having conversations with yourself and how that's going to translate into real life and making speaking English so much more natural for you in everyday life. Now, after working on all these skills, the next step is to record yourself. By recording yourself, it'll be extremely easy to identify grammatical errors and pronunciation errors in your vernacular when you speak English. This is going to give you a lot of clarity. And it's going to paint a picture for what your current level of English is and what you're really going to need to do to fill those gaps and get up to the next level of English. Recording yourself and watching video is so underrated when it comes to almost anything in life. Michael Jordan watched a bunch of game film, so did Wayne Gretzky, and so did all of the top athletes in history. The same really applies to when you're trying to learn English. If you can record yourself, it'll give you a ton of clarity as to what you need to improve on. And in turn, this is going to build a bunch of confidence when you can see tangible improvements from where you were to where you currently are and to where you will probably be going in the near future, which is English fluency. This leads to the next step, which is to use the shadowing technique, which is essentially just listening and speaking simultaneously. Now, on this channel, sometimes we have videos that give you exercises to actually shadow what I'm saying or the questions that I'm asking. This is a very easy way to use the shadowing technique, which essentially just comprises of listening and then speaking, listening and then repeating. It's really efficient because you're working on two skills at once, which also kind of improves your coordination when it comes to having spontaneous conversations with English speakers in real life. In other words, by using the shadowing technique and listening and repeating or listening and speaking simultaneously, it's improving less tangible skills, such as your rhythm when you speak, your mannerisms when you speak, and your composure when you're speaking. These are things that you could even improve upon in your own native language. However, by using the shadowing technique, it's going to improve your retention because it's exercising two senses at once. And this leads to the final step, which is learning things that are actually relevant to your particular lifestyle. By learning in relevant ways, this is going to really prepare you better for real life interactions that you're going to uniquely have. So, for example, if you're a doctor or you work in the medical field, you may want to learn things that have more to do with the medical field, as you're going to be having a lot of conversations with people about that subject. By learning things that are relevant to you, this is going to allow you to focus on the useful aspects of the English language. This is also going to reinforce what is common versus what is uncommon in English. Of course, this is all relative based on who you are, but you'll get a much better gauge and a much better sense for what is normal and what is abnormal in English if you're learning things that are more relevant and, more importantly, more useful for you. So to recap, step number 1, set very specific goals. Step 2, learn how to read aloud by yourself. Step 3, learn how to listen to English media with and without subtitles. Step number 4, use flashcards using the application Anki, for example. Step number 5, type text and write daily. Step number 6, speak daily. Step number 7, record yourself speaking. Step number 8, shadow by listening and speaking simultaneously or listening and repeating. And then step number 9 is learn things that are relevant and useful to your particular lifestyle. Now, if this video helped you at all, please like the video to tell YouTube that this video helped you, and I will see you in the next video.